Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, this is Sync Wealth, and on this channel we talk about how Sync, which stands for single income, no kids, women over 40 can absolutely dominate their finances. But we don't just focus on single women, we talk about single men as well. Anybody who is over the age of 40 can win with money, and we will show you how. So today is April the 18th, 2026, and we are officially in the golden window of the new tax year. And today we're going to be talking about the ISA strategy that you need to adopt right now. Being a Sync woman means that we have total autonomy, but it also means the buck stops with us and there is no double allowance from a partner. So we have to be twice as smart with our £20,000 allowance. So grab a tea, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's dive into the roadmap for 2026-2027. So number one, the big shift, why this year is different. So first, a bit of a reality check. The government has confirmed that the allowance for this tax year remains at £20,000. And that's very generous compared to other countries. And there's been a lot of talk about whether or not that's going to come down. But fortunately, it has stayed at £20,000 for both the cash ISA and the stocks and shares ISA. But there is a big change on the horizon, and as of the 6th April 2027, when the new tax year starts, that allowance for cash ISAs, for those that's under 65, the cash ISA limit is going to come crashing down from £20,000 to £12,000. So that is going to be a cut of £8,000. And yes, £12,000 is still a lot of money, still very generous, and some people don't even manage to save that in a year. But if you think about it, over 10 years, that is a cut of £80,000 that you no longer have the ability to put into a tax-free account. So it is a big change, and we need to be aware of that. So the strategy, it means this year is your last chance, your last hurrah to make sure that you put in the full £20,000 into your cash ISA and have that flexibility. If you prefer the safety of cash over the volatility of stocks, then this is the year to maximize that tax-free wrapper while the limits are still high. So number two, where to park your cash, and we're talking about the current rates. If you're looking at cash ISAs, we are seeing some inflation busting rates right now. As of last week, they were easy access accounts which are giving something like 4.35 to 4.62%. And if you wanted to fix your money, fixed rates are offering really good returns as well. If you don't need the money right now, you can fix your money for 1 year or even 3 years and get a rate of about 4.55%. Obviously, that means you can't get that money once you have fixed it. So if you're not sure, then you might want to start with just a year. Sometimes, yes, you can still access the money, but then you lose that high interest and it just comes right down to next to nothing. Since we don't have a second income to lean on, I always suggest keeping your emergency fund in an easy access ISA first. So use the tax-free benefit for your safety net before you start locking money away. And if you watch our last video in which we talked about the emergency fund, then you will know how important it is to have an emergency fund and how much you should be aiming for, particularly as a Sync woman or a Sync individual. Number three, the Sync over 40 investment edge. When you turn 40, retirement starts to look less like a far-off concept and starts to look more like a looming deadline. And yes, you may have 15, even 20, 27 more years in which you could work and earn money. You must start to get more serious about retirement. The advice is always, as soon as you start working, start to get serious about retirement, or at least thinking about it. But when you're 40, you have to really get your head down and think about it. Now, even if you've never invested before, The fact that you have 40 years in your pocket, in your bag of life experience, that's going to give you the edge because it puts you in a certain mindset and it helps you to be a lot more sensible and less risky. So you do have that edge over the younger, less experienced people. If you have your emergency fund sorted, then we need to talk about the stocks and shares ISAs. And yes, I know I've said already that investing is not for everybody, but we totally believe that the stocks and shares ISA is the way to go if you want to grow your money, build wealth, and win with money. With the capital gains tax allowance staying low at around £3,000 and dividend tax rules tightening even more this year, then the ISA wrapper is more valuable than ever. One thing you need to remember is that compounding is your best friend. Even starting at 42 or 45, as I said, you've got 15, 20 years of working. So a 15 to 20 year horizon in a low cost index fund within an ISA can be the difference between getting by and a luxury retirement. Now, who doesn't want a luxury retirement? I certainly do. So there's also the LISA to think about. The LISA is the lifetime ISA, and there is a loophole. So if you're under 50 and you already have a LISA, a lifetime ISA open, remember you can still contribute up to £4,000 a year and get that generous 25% government bonus. Unfortunately, if you didn't open one before 40, that ship has sailed and you can't actually open one. But don't worry, that standard ISA is still a very good account. It is still a powerhouse. Number 4, let's talk about the 2026 new rules advantage. So we've got more flexibility than our mothers, aunts, grandmothers, and sisters had. This year, remember, partial transfers. If you find a better rate in the middle of the tax year, you can now transfer part of your current year's ISA. You are no longer locked into one provider for the whole £28,000. You can open and pay into as many ISAs as you want in the same tax year, and ISAs of the same type, so whether it's the stocks and shares ISA or the cash ISA, and you can put your money into the different ISAs. If you open 20 and you want to put £1,000 into each of those 20, you can. Obviously, that's a bit silly. But you have to remember to make sure that you're keeping track of how much money you've put into all these different ISAs, because your allowance stays the same. It's not £20,000 per ISA, it is £20,000 per individual per tax year. So we need to think of an action plan for this year. And I have come up with what I'm calling the Win with Money action plan for you. Step 1, you need to review the previous year. What went well, what did not go well? If you managed to max out your ISA last year, fantastic. If you didn't, then you need to figure out why you didn't. Were you just wasting money, or did you not have a plan? Did you not have a budget? And you use that information to plan ahead for this year. How are you going to max out your ISA this year? You can't go back and claim whatever you didn't put in, which is why it's really important to maximize your savings and make sure you put in as much as you can. If you can aim for that £20,000, then you're onto a winner. Think of the now and the future and make that your goal. Step 2, automate your investments and savings. If you were to say £20,000 divided by 12, that is £1,666. And if you put that into your ISA every month, you'll hit your goal, no problem. Obviously, that might be a bit too much for many of us. And if that's too high, then just put in something on a regular basis, even £100 or £200. That's going to make a massive difference. And if you automate that, make sure your money comes out on payday and goes into your ISA, that will change your future. So automate, automate, automate. And then step 3, review your cash versus invest ratio. At 40 plus, if you're serious about investing, you really need to know this ratio and work with it. You don't have as much time as a 20-year-old in the stock market. So this ratio is when you take your age and subtract from 100 or even 110, and that number is the percentage that you should be investing. People talk about a savings rate or a savings percentage, and that is when you take a percentage or a portion of your salary every month and put it away into savings. And yes, that's a very good starting point because it gets you into that mindset of putting money away. But if you're serious about investing and you want to win with money and make your money work harder, then you really should be working with a cash versus invest ratio. And if you do that, you are on another level, and that is going to give you more of a guarantee to actually get the big gains. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but it does make things are much easier, and it is actually life-changing. And then step 4, maximize the tax efficient accounts. If you've not maxed out your ISA, that's your number one priority. You need to max that out. And then if you have maxed out your ISA, then it's worth thinking about things like the SIP, because not only is it tax efficient, you actually get a bonus from the government because it will top up whatever you put in, the government will top that up. And we have talked about the SIPs in lots of videos on this channel, but we will continue to talk more about that because, 40 plus, it means retirement is looming. If you need the money in the short term and you need the money before you turn 55 or 57, then putting it away in the SIP is not going to be helpful. Then you need to think about other things like the NS&I premium bonds. Not everybody likes them because there's no guarantee you're going to win. But if you did win something, then that's going to be tax-free. But also, whatever you get out of, that in an NS&I, it's a tax efficient account. So it's definitely another thing to be thinking about. If you don't like the NS&I or you've maxed out your NS&I, then instead of just keeping your money in a savings account, then think of putting it into just a general investment account. And there is a link in the description box where you can open a trading 212 account, for example, and get free shares with up to £100. So if you want to maximize your money, again, make it work harder. Don't just keep money sitting as cash and earning next to nothing. Make every penny, every pound work efficiently and work harder and prepare for your future. So final thoughts, being a Think individual, especially a Think 40 plus woman, is a superpower. Not only do you have to do things for yourself, but by yourself. Actually, it means that you're going to make decisions which are best for you, and you don't have to negotiate with anybody. You don't need to talk to anybody. You don't need to, compromise. You don't have to decide with somebody else where you're going to put your money, how much you're going to put aside, how much you're going to invest, what stocks you're buying, which funds you're buying. This is your decision. You have the autonomy and you have the power. And also, not having kids is actually an advantage. I know some people may think it's a disadvantage and may feel bad about it, but actually if you change your mindset and look at it as an advantage, you are the priority. You don't need to save for any university fees or school fees or uniform fees or buy toys for children unless you want to for your nieces and nephews, etc. The money is primarily for you. So you need to invest in yourself and you need to pay yourself first and not think about anybody. And that is an amazing position to be. So what's your ISA strategy for this year? Are you team cash or team stocks? Let us know in the comment section below. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found it interesting and helpful. And if you did, please give us a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to the channel and help us to grow. And don't forget to share the videos with your friends and family, especially all the Think women over 40 in your lives. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your money. Bye for now.